exactly 6 a.m. on Thursday, the 18th of July, 2024. Karibu sana to Morning Cafe. My name is Freddy Ndimuli. How hot is the coffee where you are? Where I am, it's very cold.
I'm usually Stanley Yeringeti. It's a Friday Junior. This week, finally, Imeisha. And it's about to actually even get interesting, getting into the weekend. Are you going to be going to Uhuru Park? To MB, because that is what the young protesters are saying all the way to Uhuru Park. From what we've seen the last time people in Uhuru Park, ilikuwa kudonjo na kudunda. We wait to see if that will be happening. That and much more right here, all the way to 10 a.m. These are the faces that you're going to be seeing, having different kind of conversations. Tutakuwa na State of the Nation conversation with the Thursday panel.
Well, yes, Robert Alai, Kiruga Dhuku and Jerika Higa will be in studio for that conversation. And I think now you take a look at the headlines on the dailies this morning.
Oh, yes.
So, yes, this is a panel.
Even before we, do your panel.
MCAs Robert Alai and Kiruga Dhuku and Jerika Higa right in between them. It gets very interesting every Thursday. You don't want to miss this conversation.
Oh, yes. Coming up, the mid-month. Ile wakati labda haujalipa rent na caretaker nakwambia, you know what, I lock your nteka kifuli kwa mlango. Is he allowed to do that? Is he or she allowed to do that? We'll be discussing all that. What does the law say about residential landlords and tenants in Kenya? Stick around for that. Into the dailies.
A missing opposition. This is what is happening, and we'll be talking about this. Faces on the front page of the Standard there of Azimio leadership. Some of them, not all of them, but they're saying a missing opposition.
Quarryman was, get this, a shy lover boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. But also a mention of the implosion in Azimio over Ruto dialogue. I think that's what the Standard has gone with as the main headline.
On kwenye gazeti la Taifa Leo, polisi watemea mate mahakama. Yeah.
Aha, kuzuia maandamano. Tutarejelea habari hii tukizingatia kile tunangoja kuhappen leo, kufanyika kwenye Uhuru Park.
On Business Daily,
supermarkets, warehouses beat homes in rental returns. Well, interesting times. Yes, this is what I was looking for. The People Daily. Police force gone nuts. I love that headline.
Hey, People Daily has been doing the Lord's work.
Yes, but then again, you realize that 3 dailies have gone with this joint editorial on the front pages, right there on the right-hand side. I think it's clearly visible on the People Daily. It is also there on the Standard and the Daily Nation.
Yeah.
So yes, but police force gone nuts.
Kwenye gazeti la The Star, Raila Kalonzo MPs failed to agree on Ruto deal.
All right.
That is the big headline. Let's cross over to Uganda now, the front page of Daily Monitor.
The tears of widowhood. Death is inevitable, they say, for couples. Death creates a complicated maze from dealing with feelings of loss and figuring out how best to cope with navigating the problems of properties that the deceased has left behind. The perils are endless. There's a special report on pages 4 and 5 of the Daily Monitor talking about what widows go through after losing their husbands. Matters property, real estate, back and forth and all that. But there's a very interesting story.
Oh yes, it seems as if
on the top strip of the Daily Monitor.
It seems as if the young people of Uganda are taking cue from Kenya.
Now the only difference is they appear to have some leaders. So they say faces behind planned march to parliament. No, they've plastered the faces there. Meanwhile in Kenya, no one wants to be seen as a leader. It's leaderless.
Tribeless.
But your brothers and sisters in Uganda have taken cue.
All right. I can see something to do with matters, even matters media, uko Uganda. But still in Uganda, they say 27 billion Kenya shillings allocated to affected staff. Has to do with matters, mergers over 2,000 staff to be affected by the exercise.
Issues to do with state corporations in Uganda. Similar debate to what we're having in Kenya as well. Yeah.
Into Tanzania, very busy paper.
Yes, and you see, it's like they have all the stories you can ever have on the front page of the Mwananchi. Habari kuu, apigwa kila kona, kauli ushindi nje ya boksi ya mponza Nape. Nape ni jamaa fulani. Anasema wadau wamshukia wakimtuhumu kuanzisha chokochoko. Wakumbusha bao la mkono wakimtaka ajiuzulu. Mwenyewe aomba radhi akisisitiza ni muumini wa demokrasia nchini. Hiyo ndio habari kuu, lakini kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa Mwananchi kuna story kama 33 zingine hatutaangazia. lakini ni nyingi tu.
And finally, on the front page of The Citizen, this is still in Tanzania. What tripartite renewable energy partnership means. You always realize The Citizen goes with matters industries and industrialization in the country. They say the government hopes that Tanzania will be able to generate at least 1 gigawatt of electricity from renewable energy sources by 2045. Yes, Fred, utakuwa 70 ngapi? Through cooperation with the US and India that was officially launched yesterday.
Yeah, very long sentences on the front page. Similarly, just as busy as the Mwananchi, but they still have make mention of that child safety story. Remember issues of about child abductions in Tanzania. They say call for police procedure to be reviewed. Well, those are the headlines from the neighboring countries. We'll be back to look at the main headlines in Kenya today, later on. But before that, let's focus on the traffic situation here in Nairobi. And it looks green so far.
Yeah. Nothing
indicative of what you should expect.
Oh, yes.
Similar to Sunday traffic.
Oh, yes.
Because usually at such a time, it's usually very busy. You can see the main pressure points for traffic. That's Pangani interchange is green. This is very rare. It doesn't happen like this at 7 minutes past 6. It's usually a yellow forming around this area, meaning that today is more or less Sunday traffic. Yes. The other usual pressure point is Jogoo Road, and you can see something slight at Kadara, which is very normal, but that's the only problem. After that, it's green even around this area, around the city stadium roundabout.
Typically, the red always crosses until this region.
Yes, usually you see yellow here, even getting into town, Landis Road and around Marikiti area. It's usually very busy around this time. Right now, you can see how it is, meaning not many people are heading to town this morning. If at all you have something to do in town, this is the best time to leave. Later on, it might get a bit smoky.
Oh, yes.
Let's take a look at the southern part of the city. That's Mombasa Road into town. Nothing to report about. A bit of a slowdown next to Next Gen, but nothing to worry about there. I think these are the entry and exit points of the expressway. Langata Road is looking green all the way, so is Mbagathi Way, Ngong Road also, nothing much to report about, as well as Wayaki Way into town. Inakaa leo ni Sunday traffic in anticipation of maandamano. So all the major tributaries into town are looking good, but I'm sure it's going to get busy later on.
Oh, yes. So in case you're planning to probably leave, kuna meeting mahali, don't worry. So that was how Nairobi looks like in terms of traffic. But this is how it's going to be in terms of the weather forecast from today around 9 a.m. about until kesho. And just seeing, actually no, this is until now today until 9 a.m. So this, the rainfall pattern, bits of Kinalangata, Kibra, Dagoretti going to be receiving between 25 to 35 degrees Celsius thereabout, and the other parts less than 20. But then let's take a look at different places. Tuanze na Nairobi, they say 14 degrees Celsius. Let me refresh that. Imeongeza degrees moja kidogo, 15.
That's Nairobi. Where we are is in we are in Nairobi as we speak.
Yes.
But it doesn't feel like 15.
It feels like even 10.
Like 2.
The precipitation 10%. That means chances, very, very slight chances of it raining today, maybe into the evening. Some light showers probably. That is in Nairobi. In Nyeri.
So, go back to Nairobi. It means we're not going to receive any temperatures higher than 20 today, the entire day. So it's going to be chilly all through.
Intermittent cold temperatures.
20 degrees is still very low.
Yes.
Yes. If you go to Kilifi right now, I'm sure you're like 25, 26.
To go to Nangalia, how it is. In Nyeri, might be similar, but just a tad lower than what is going to be happening in Nairobi. Temperatures, the highest temperatures you're going to be seeing is
18.
Yes, 18. Interestingly, you never really see this, the humidity around right now they're going to be having at 7 a.m. This means it's going to even affect the traffic situation in Nyeri. Somewhere else that is even colder than that is Kimende.
Now this is what I'm feeling.
Yes. You 11 degrees.
Highs of 16.
Highs of 16 and accompanied by some light showers into the day. This is going to be continuing into the night. So do expect that if you're in Kimende and places. It might actually go less than 9. Tuangalie Migori, to the Nyanza region.
It's much warmer.
Yes, much warmer. The highest temperatures that you're going to be having if you're in Migori is as high as 27 degrees Celsius. Right now it feels like 18. Chances of it raining today, 0%. Hiyo ni weather mzuri sana.
It means that anyone using the Nakuru Nairobi highway through Kimende should be very careful. With temperatures as low as 14 or 11 or less than 10, visibility is going to be very poor as well.
Oh yes, oh yes. A real quick update on today's news diary. First off, the government spokesperson, that is Dr. Isaac Mwaura, is expected to give an address at around 10:30 a.m. So we do expect to hear what he'll be saying on matters national importance. There has been so much happening in the country, so there's a lot on his plate when it comes to even his address. Because I mean he's a mouthpiece even for the government, hearing what the government is saying concerning the national security. So we do expect that. And concurrently, we're going to be expecting young protesters heading to Uhuru Park. So speaking of matters, traffic, do stand by for that as well. So according to what young protesters are saying on social media, the plan is march to Uhuru Park and then afterwards head to State House. The last time the State House plan was there, that didn't really materialize. And there was quite a number of security operators around State House, so we wait to see if that will be happening. But don't worry, we'll be giving you the live pictures of that as well. In Kware, that is in Embakasi, retrieval of bodies is going to continue. Yesterday, I believe about 2 bodies were retrieved, so wait to see how that will be happening. The pathologist, government pathologist, Johansen Oduor, yesterday spoke to the media saying so far what they have for the decomposed bodies. They can't really get the cause of death, but then what they have so far is head injuries as well as strangulation. Wait to see how that will be materializing today. Something in matters sports, we do expect Permanent Secretary of Sports, that is Peter Tum, together with the National Olympic Committee, to be providing updates concerning Team Kenya's preparedness for Paris Olympics, which kicks off as of next week. That and much more coming up in our bulletins as well as digital platforms. Another Today in History.
On this day, the late former South African first black president, Nelson Mandela, was born in the Madiba clan in the village of Mvezo in the Eastern Cape. Still on the 18th of July in 2009, Mandela was declared an international day to promote global peace and celebrate his legacy.
Take a look at the Magazeti this morning.
And if Mandela was alive,
All right.
papers are light today.
Oh yes, but as we had mentioned earlier, joint editorial on the front pages of the Standard, the Daily Nation and the People Daily. I have a copy of the Standard with me. The big headline is "A Missing Opposition." In slumber, the opposition leaders seem to have been caught off guard in the renewed clamor for change. Unlike in yesteryears, when they gave direction on matters politics, they have this time round left the struggle to the youth. The leaders cannot agree on a common path. They claw at each other instead of checking the government. And yes, an image there of some of the Azimio leaders led by Kalonzo Musyoka of Wiper Party. Earlier, before this, he had tried to address the media at the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Foundation precincts, and that media briefing was interrupted by a number of goons who sent them scampering, including journalists. In connection to that, Raila faces toughest test in politics. It's also on the front page, just below the main story. And they talk about what he has been doing for Kenya's politics for a quarter of a decade, over 25 years. And many heads of states have reached out to Raila Odinga to save their presidency at their political nadir moments, essentially making him an enigma in Kenyan politics and a political intercessor. But what has been A larger-than-life political picture of Raila is on the verge of being extinguished by the ongoing Gen Z revolution that is turning Kenya's political scene upside down. Yes, will Raila Odinga be successful this time round? He has done it with Moi, with Kibaki, with Uhuru Kenyatta. He wants to do it again with William Ruto. Na Gen Z wanasema wewe.
Tutakusalimia.
Ngoja kidogo. Mention of Mudavadi, Ruto's new one-man cabinet. You know now, yesterday the Gazette notice firing all cabinet ministers was out. And in it, the president officially appointed Musalia Mudavadi as the acting cabinet secretary in all the ministries. Yeah. So he's a minister for everything. He's a cabinet secretary for everything.
So say tukitaka public holiday, it's Mudavadi.
Yes, Mudavadi ndo atasign hiyo inaitwaje? Gazette notice. Yeah. Yes. Wow. Hata treasury, Mudavadi. Internal security, Mudavadi. Education, Mudavadi. Health, Mudavadi.
I hope cartoonists wanaangalia waeke caricature yake with very many hands signing different. Yes.
Pale juu on the top strip of the Standard, yes, that very unfortunate incident where news editor Macharia Gaidho was abducted by police, who later released him after about 30 minutes, telling him that it was a case of mistaken identity. And I was wondering, this is the same DCI that only 2 days earlier had managed to piece together a 2-year serial killing spree and even found all the evidence. And then a day later, you cannot identify the person you're looking for to arrest? Come on.
And in fact, I mean, it was two trials. The first one, Kobarabara, then he went and escorted himself to the police just to confirm. Yes. And then again, it happens inside the police.
It's very unfortunate, and the media, there's a lot of media uproar with regard to that case. They say media defiant in face of police brutality, and then it leads to that editorial. Act on Gen Z demands and stop harassment of journalists. And yes, we stand by this joint editorial as well. On the page of the Standard, matters Paris Olympics and the preparations towards this. Pressure mounts on Kenyan stars to deliver medals. And an image there of Faith Kipyegon, the latest record holder. No, record breaker actually. So yes, a lot, you can read a lot more about the team to the Paris Olympics. It has the entire list of athletes and the races they'll be taking part in. And that's the Standard today.
Right, let's take a look at about 32-page Daily Nation. It's quite light today. The big headline is Kwareman was a shy lover boy. Saying to neighbors, the beast that has been portrayed of the 33-year-old Collins Jumaisi Halusha is a stark contrast to the quiet, reserved, and friendly man they have known for some 2 years. They have also seen him entertain a string of women in his one-roomed house. Have coverage on that on pages 6 and 7. They have the photo of Roslyn Akoth, whose body was among those found at Kwaje. Other headlines, that conversation that all dailies, I believe, have also gone with, majority of the dailies. Implosion in Azimio over Ruto dialogue. Says Azimio chief Raila Odinga's party yesterday gave the clearest indication that it is ready to go to it alone in a political deal with President Ruto and his Kenya Kwanza side after Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka was ejected from Odinga's city offices as he read resolutions of a parliamentary group meeting. On the left scroll, something that other dailies haven't gone with, matters education. Teachers' welfare to take a hit. Say medical cover, hiring of GSS tutors on permanent terms, and implementation of a collective bargaining agreement to be affected. More is on the back page. We'll get to that in a few, but still on the left scroll, why Ruto has put Mudavadi in charge of all the ministries. So when he fired his siasas on the 11th of July, President Ruto said that some of the functions they performed will be executed by the principal secretaries. It is, however, emerged that certain functions can only be executed by a CS. So now the question would be, how long will he manage all the ministries? And if he's actually able to manage a chunk of the ministries, why is there a need to even have a CS for that if someone can actually do that job?
Yes.
Pale juu, that editorial commentary. Stop the madness, it's time for a reset. You can read that on page 13. Other headlines on the back page as you flip. State shelves 15 billion cash shillings bid to link schools, hospitals and offices to power grid. Interesting. Koleju, they make mention of Gor Mahia. They say alarm bells ring over Gor Mahia's poor form ahead of CAF Champions League campaign. That in a nutshell is Daily Nation for you. We'll be getting back to this paper for the cartoons, but first, Business Daily.
Oh yes, supermarkets, warehouses beat homes in rental returns. That's a big headline on the front page of the Business Daily. And they say commercial property developers are beating those in the prime residential segment in rental cash returns, helped by rising demand for warehousing facilities and retail space. And you realize many supermarkets now are using that warehouse kind of design. Yeah. Yes. The other story on the front page of the Business Daily, Ethiopia tops Kenya's foreign assets on Safaricom entry. They say Ethiopia's reason to host the largest stock of capital investment from Kenya, mainly on the expansion of Safaricom to that market, relegating Tanzania to second place. All right. Other highlights, quick highlights. On the ticker, State House among losers in 927 million shilling CAB budget cuts. Wow. 927 million. You got to know magari. Okay. KRA blocked from taxing golf, sports club charges. SBM rival now take 972 million deposit dispute out of court. And finally, Kenya beats Nigeria in AI sector investment inflows. Matters Technology. That's the Business Daily this morning.
From BD to PD, that is the People Daily, about 3 headlines on this paper, well, apart, including the editorial. The headline there, 4 words only on People Daily. Police force gone nuts. That should be one of the most interesting headlines for this morning. They say press freedom from the killing of innocent youths demanding good governance, arrest and detention of protesters. Rogue security agencies now turn the guns on journalists. And they have a photo there of the Nakuru-based journalists who are assisting their colleague Wanjiri Kariuki of Kameme and TV after she was shot by police while covering the Gen Z demos on Tuesday. The scribe was shot 3 times and the thigh is recuperating in hospital. Kule chini, Azimio disarray over Ruto dialogue. The media should get out. The statement is not going to be read here. So many of our people have died in the hands of the police for a long time. That is a quote by a protester who was in there. And as well as the joint editorial, all going with that headline, Stop the Madness, it is time for a reset. Paleju, the very top, TSC shocker for teachers after budget cuts. That is the People Daily. All
right. I'm looking for Taifa Leo. Asema polisi watemea mate mahakama. Polisi wazuia maandamano ya amani na kutumia vitoza machozi licha ya mahakama kuharamisha hatua hizo. Mahakama Kuu mjini Malindi imeongeza muda wa agizo lake linalopuuzwa wazi na polisi la kuwazuia maafisa wa usalama kutumia nguvu kupita kiasi, maji ya kuwasha, vitoza machozi, risasi halisi au zile za mpira, au kutekeleza aina yoyote ya unyanyasaji dhidi ya waandamanaji. Habari kamili kwenye ukurasa wa 2. Na sababu hiyo wanasema polisi watemea mate mahakama. Habari zaidi kwenye gazeti hili la Taifa Leo. Waliokuwa mawaziri sasa vichakani baada ya kufutwa. Gazeti notice ilitoka, wengi ni mawaziri waliotumuliwa wiki jana sasa wameingia mitini, baadhi yao wakikwepa umma kabisa.
So kwa sasa wa mawaziri pamoja na wabunge
wako mafichoni,
bunge la kitaifa. Kila mtu anahepa,
kila mtu anakwepa.
Wamemwacha rais pale katika mzigo mzito.
Habari hiyo ya wanahabari kuandamana kwa kuteswa, kutumia picha ya mhariri Macharia Gaidho, pia imepewa kipaumbele kwenye ukurasa wa mbele. Masuala ya spoti na habari za kimataifa pia pale juu. Pigo kwa koti, jaji mwingine akifariki. Idara ya mahakama imepata pigo tena baada ya kumpoteza jaji wa pili Daniel Ogembo ndani ya wiki mbili. Na Ruto arudia hali yake ya kawaida, achapa kazi kama hapo awali, huku vijana wakiendeleza maandamano ya kupinga serikali yake kwenye ukurasa wa 3. Hilo ndio gazeti la Taifa Leo.
And finally on the Star, Raila Kalonzo MPs failed to agree on Ruto deal. That is a similar headline on other dailies. Pilot Chini, they make mention of what was happening in Nakuru yesterday, where Nakuru Journalists Association came out in large numbers to protest and demonstrate over the shooting of one of their own on Tuesday. Carrying a banner there, journalism is not a crime, and indeed,
yes,
it is not.
And it's the same editorial on the front page of the Star as well. Yes.
Say, do not kill the messenger. Other headlines that we haven't seen on other dailies: how NSSF blunders sunk millions of pensioners' savings. Wow. I say details have emerged of the investment blunders by the management of the National Social Security Fund that sunk millions of pensioners' money. A new audit report shows that the fund has lost nearly 1 billion arising from its investment moves. Most of the cash was pumped into the stock market and in botched housing projects. Jana tulikuwa tunaangalia NYS 1 billion. I think for the next 1 week tukiangalia 1 billion each. Wow. Pesa sijui inaenda wapi. Still in education matters, no salary boom for teachers as TSC decries budget cuts. And maswala ya weather. They say chilly weather, in case you're wondering how the weather will be looking like this weekend. Do you need to look for hot coffee? La Nina may come in October, warns the weatherman. Half of the country will experience a blend of chilly weather and light rains, at least for the next 5 days, the Met Department has predicted. The forecast ending next Monday indicates grey skies and a frosty breeze sweeping from the western border to central Kenya. You have been told earlier, usiseme haukuambiwa. Yes. They also make mention of what was happening in Kware. Detectives recover blood-stained hammer, 2 knives from suspect house after they went back to that suspect's house like yesterday. And
that's impressive police work, if you ask me.
Wow, okay. Now to the cartoons this morning. Umefungua page 14 of the Standard na page 13 of Daily Nation.
Yes, and on page 13 of the 14 of the Standard, we have on the cartoon there an image of the DCI director, Mohammed Amin, and it says, "We got the serial killers." Yes, that's to do with the Kware victims, where the retrieval of bodies still continues today. So that is the biggest discussion there. On page 13 of the Daily Nation, matters politics. ODM's position on dialogue is confusingly clear. And they have an image of the ODM leader, Raila Odinga. Remember when he went to Kware, he said, no dialogue, no dialogue. By yesterday, the tune had changed after that meeting with MPs, and now ODM looks set to engage in dialogue with President William Ruto's party, UDA. That's the Standard and the Daily Nation.
On the Star, Ozone 24 goes with the Kware and what is happening there, and ile kitu ni kama video, ni kama ndlama. Yes, so some Kware matters. How do you call that in film, that thing that you clap?
The clapperboard.
Yeah, the clapperboard, yes. And they have dead scene and the tech and the camera there having those sacks in the parts of the body inside there, the blood oozing around. Probably going to mention that this might just be a script in what we are shown. On People Daily, page 10 of Stano's Tech, there's a gentleman there wearing and donning Police Inspector General's police attire, trying to seal off those holes in that drum. I have the capacity to stop it. And now wamefunga na elastoplast pale. Some Gen Z demonstrations. Wow. Those are
must be a real challenge. Yes. And of course that will form the biggest discussion this morning, the ongoing protests and the possible way out of the current crisis we face as a country. Do stand by for State of the Nation after the break with the panelists I had earlier introduced Robert Alai, MCA Kileleshwa, Kirugadhuku, MCA Shinga, and Njeri Kahiga, National Youth Leader, Political Party, PNU.
Later on, coming up, I told you, in case, because the midmonth, by the way, na caretaker ameanza kuambia, hujalipa rent, I'll be locking your house, or taking away your things, or some privileges that you enjoy. Is he or she allowed to do that? We'll be discussing what the law says concerning residential landlords and tenants in Kenya. Maina Patrick Njama, he's an advocate of the High Court, will be joining us for that conversation. So in case you have some burning questions that you'd like Wakili to field for you, talk to us. 0793-267-279 is our WhatsApp number. Text us also 22047 and your ringita _
At Freddy Limuli.
Oh yes, Dunane in a few.
Kila kiongozi ana hadithi yake ya kipekee.
Wazazi wangu walikuwa bit strict kwa sababu mamangu mwenyewe, mimi kutoka kuzaliwa sijailala nje.
The white small one, huyo ana sniff gunpowder na risasi na bomb. Alafu huyo mwingine ni ridgeback, ana sniff simba.
Even the employees knows that. So when you're in the boardroom is the chairman, the CEO. And the rest of
what point are you a wife?
The minute you get to that inside that door, you become now the wife.
Na kila maamuzi wanayoyafanya hufichua mengi kuhusu utu wao na uongozi wao.
We see God blessing us, and we now realize the power of giving also has to be rewarded back.
Kupitia kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi, tunakuletea mahojiano ya kusisimua na uchambuzi wa kina kuhusu viongozi wetu.
Pick your core business as the bigger stones. Put them in your diary first. Give priority the bigger things.
Usikose kila Alhamis saa 1:30 jioni.
In a world where challenges are as common as opportunities, there are those who dare to defy the odds. They are the entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship isn't just about starting a business. It's about embracing uncertainty, pushing boundaries, and turning dreams into reality.
Hata ambao ni pesa ya kusave, wallahi. Mbao mwaka ni pesa nyingi sana.
As long as you're earning something, there's always that opportunity to save. And you start with where you are.
The way we run the business is in a very unforgiving way, where every team member has to bring out their best.
So, to all the dreamers, innovators, and risk takers out there, remember, being an entrepreneur isn't just a job, it's a way of life. Join the journey. Become an entrepreneur. The Grind, Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Here on Beyond the Limit, we celebrate the extraordinary achievements of individuals who redefine possibilities. In a journey of resilience and determination, these individuals demonstrate that limitations are merely stepping stones to greatness.
I'm Nancy Njoroge, a mother of 3. I have 2 girls and a boy, who is Clinton, and who is autistic.
When my heart got healed, I decided to come out to be creating CP awareness, to let other people know that there is such a condition, and people that has it is not that they are witches.
Together, let's go beyond the limit every Saturday at 8 p.m.
Welcome to The Realtor, where we take you on an exciting journey from bare land to dream home. Step 1. Finding the perfect plot. We explore location, size, and potential. Next, construction begins. Witness the foundation being laid, walls rising and rooms taking shape. Step 3. Electricity matters. We delve into wiring, switches and smart home tech. Step 4. From paint choices to fixtures, it's all about aesthetics. Step 5. It's time to get the right furniture. Finally, the big day. Time to move in and create memories. Join us on the journey to making homes a reality on The Realtor, Tuesdays 6:30.
Kila kiongozi ana hadithi yake ya kipekee.
Wazazi wangu walikuwa bit strict kwa sababu mamangu mwenyewe, mimi kutoka kuzaliwa sijailala nje.
The white small one, huyo ana sniff gunpowder na risasi na bomb. Alafu huyo mwingine ni ridgeback, ana sniff simba.
Even the employees knows that, so when you're good.
Welcome back. You're watching Morning Cafe on TV47 with me, Fred Indimuli. Time for us to take a look at the headlines on State of the Nation. Very interesting headlines today. On the Standard, a missing opposition. Where is the opposition? They'll be telling us more about that. Raila faces toughest test in politics. And on the Daily Nation, fine, they make reference to the story about what's happening in Kware, but there's also that topic, that headline about implosion in Azimio over Ruto dialogue. But all the dailies in Kenya today, and that's I'm talking about the Daily Nation, the Standard, People Daily and the Star have a joint editorial on the front pages, all talking about the attack on the media. So on the front page of the Daily Nation, they say, stop the madness, it's time for a reset. Act on Gen Z demands and stop harassment of journalists, on the front page of the Standard. This morning I have with me in studio Robert Alai, MCA Kileleshwa. We'll be joined by the other panelists in a short while. Let's start from there. The issues about what has been happening to journalists over the past few days as they go on doing their work and covering what we have been covering. One of our colleagues from a different company was shot in Nakuru while covering the protests. She's still recuperating in hospital. Yesterday we saw one of our senior editors, Macharia Gaidho, being abducted by police and then spectacularly being released 30 minutes later. And the police saying that it was a case of mistaken identity. We've seen police using water canyon on some international journalists covering the process. And I just want to have your take on that. I know you have been a blogger. You understand the work that journalists do. What is your take on that issue?
Thank you, Fred, and the TV47 family. It is very regrettable to see what has happened to the journalists in the past 1 or so weeks. Starting from what happened to the Citizen TV journalist in Nairobi, the K24 journalist in Nakuru, Macharia Gaidho yesterday, and the various many other, practitioners in the media space like the bloggers and people just operating in the fourth and the fifth estate spheres. I think that the police and the government needs to understand the role the media plays and ensure that they are protected in carrying out their duties. Seeing that Parliament is not, properly functioning after the invasion, by the protesters, now I think that the media is very critical in holding all of us who are elected and appointed in various positions of authority into account. But we also must understand that, this, what is happening now, it is not, it has not started to happen today. Last year when Azimio was holding, protest, maandamanos, we saw the most dedicated attacks on the media practitioners, including the media team which was traveling with the Azimio leader, Raila Odinga. And that one, I think, didn't alarm people because Raila was on the receiving end. We saw the targeted of the media vans, every van which was having media journalists and other TV crews. I think it was very unfortunate to see the attack today. Seeing that a journalist was shot in Nakuru, I think that one was very gut-wrenching and unsaddening to see for the day. So I would call on the police, the acting Inspector General of Police, to ensure that the media practitioners are protected. I want to see stronger multi-stakeholder involvement in the protection of journalists. The police, the media society of Kenya, the government officials, and so on. So as that we don't injure them. They are not active participants in the conflict which is ongoing. So they need not to be treated as such, and so they should be treated as neutral, neutral observers and objective analysts. If there's any issue with any media house, be it TV47 family and the Media Max and Nation Media Group, I think there are various avenues of raising it to ensure that nobody is unfairly targeted and injured. The lady journalist lying down in Nakuru, heart was a sad scene to see.
Okay. Jerry, allow me to introduce Jerry Kahiga, National Youth Leader, Political Party, PNU. Karibu sana, Jerry. We're just looking at, because on the front pages of all the dailies today, there's a joint editorial comment condemning police attacks on journalists who are covering protests, including yesterday's abduction of Macharia Guy, one of our senior editors, and who was released later, like after 20 minutes or so. And they said it was a case of mistaken identity. There seems to be a general sentiment that media is anti-government. We try as much as possible. You've been on all the panels that we have been here. And even on this panel today, I think there are more people who speak for the system as opposed to those who don't. Yet that feeling that all media houses or the Kenyan media is against the administration, don't you think that is a bit misplaced?
First of all, I want to thank TV47 for always holding a very fair panel, because sometimes Alai is on opposition, sometimes he's in government. So, but of course, member for Chinga is always in government. Oh. And I want to really also raise my concern as a young person of this nation, because honestly, I felt so bad hearing that there was a mistaken identity. And the worst of it all was not even the part that it was mistaken identity. It was the fact that he was abducted right inside a police station. Somebody sees a car driving towards him and runs to a police station for rescue, only for him to be abducted right inside a police station. And the manner in which they handled him, you'd think he's a terrorist or somebody with guns, and for it to be in the presence of his sons and family and even him as a person, it was very dehumanizing. It felt like, which world are we right now? And if you look at the photo of the said media personality and the alleged suspect, they are two different people. One is light skin, one has hair, one does not have hair. And I don't think we are heading to somewhere where one of these days we might hear Mother Koome has been abducted. It was a case of mistaken identity with Japhet Koome. This nation is heading somewhere where we cannot even predict the future. And I think we also saw the case of the first day that the KDF were deployed to the CBD, and we heard that media houses had been intimidated not to air the live coverage. And we have also seen videos circulating of media people being shot, not even being tear gassed. We're talking of somebody being shot. A female journalist was and not one bullet, two. So it has come to a point where now we need to come together as a nation, from the media people to the young people to everybody else, and tell this government, you cannot deal with demonstrators like terrorists. This person has gone to cover. So why do you have a problem with media personalities covering if at all the government is not sending goons to infiltrate these demonstrations? And it narrows down to our question, who has been protecting the goons on the street? Because if the media itself now is being attacked, that means somebody does not want the world knowing exactly what is happening. And they are bringing the question of incitement. I had some of the government bloggers trying to say that, media is always showing where Mandamano is happening and they incite other areas. media has its right to give us news, and at the end of the day, we have to understand that that is its job.
Okay.
And it's very unfortunate because this same government expects media to cover their government events where they go and insult Kenyans and show us all kind of mockery, but they expect the same media not to go to maandamano. We have always seen media invites to the State House, and you have been accorded very high respect when you go to State House. I think that is the same respect you should be accorded when media goes on the streets, because you are going there not to incite, but you are going there to cover something that is happening in this world and for the world to see what is happening. And I am kindly requesting, I know media has a panel and leadership, and I really hope you people can continue voicing out your issues, and we are in solidarity with you guys. Na serikali iambiwe you don't do that to media personalities. Allow me to introduce Kiruga Dhuku MCA Shinga Ward. He is also the chairperson of the UDA MCA caucus and a member of the UDA NEC. Karibu sana bwana Kiruga Dhuku.
Asante Fred.
You travel once or twice weekly from your area of work to come to TV47.
Yes.
Meaning you have a special relationship with the media.
Yes.
This past week we saw one female journalist shot by live bullets from the police, and she's currently recuperating. That gentle sentiment that media is against the establishment is what we are worried about. If at all there are genuine concerns about the conduct of the media, there should be proper channels, and they exist for people to seek redress.
Thank you, Fred. Good morning, viewers. I think, Fred, we don't have a policy. I don't believe there is a policy towards harassment of the media or journalists. I think it's just a case of, accidental happenings, but which, of course, we would urge the avoidance of, because I don't believe, Jerry here can laugh, but I'm very, very serious. There is no sane person who would shoot a female journalist. She's harmless. And one thing I also need to say, Fred, these programs that we come to often, with me, I'm friends with so many media people. So, and, you have meetings with the president, even those meetings that are not even covered by the media, and he is very insistent. The place of the media must be respected. So it's unfortunate, and of course we have even talked, because even like the lady journalist in Nakuru, she's a lady person unknown to me. Most of these media guys, we are friends. We have even talked to them, we have given our apology. So what I can say, and I think this is like a wake-up call, Fred, that when things are going wrong, when we go lighting fires in this nation, what is happening now is a great example that we light a fire in our country, it may consume very innocent people, media people, women, children, and that's why we are saying, and I want to say this categorically without fear of contradiction. What we have now is nothing to do with Gen Z demonstrations. Gen Z long went back because what they were, their genuine grievances, what they were fighting for, and everyone have agreed Gen Z did a good work. They expressed themselves very peacefully, but from there, people who are intent on overthrowing the government through a civilian coup took over. And now you have even seen leaders who are supporting Gen Zs, like even leaders like Radon Wamushoba. They have retreated. They are saying, no, the president is William Ruto, let him be given his chance. If we want to remove him, we wait at the election time. So, friend mine would be to say, it's regrettable that journalists have been caught in the crossfire, because that's why I can say it's a case of being caught in the
I want to
crossfire.
get your views about your sentiments about the conduct of the police, especially with regard to the abduction of senior editor Macharia Gaidho. We've seen the same DCI earlier this week come out and give Kenyans some piece of news which ideally should be very positive and welcome, by them managing to get a suspect and get all the evidence in a case that they said was had happened over 2 years period, and that's a serial murders. They call it a serial killing spree of over 2 years, and within 48 hours they had managed to arrest a suspect, get a confession, and get all the evidence. Then a day later, they mistakenly abduct someone that they were not even looking for.
You know, I don't want to speak for the police because, of course, they have their spokesperson, but what the police have kept insisting, and this again is a very serious issue, you know, leaders, especially those opposition leaders who are supporting the insurrection, even when it is an arrest, because there is something that have been said clearly. A police officer doesn't become a police officer just because he's in uniform. Whether they are in uniform, whether they are in civilian, they remain police officers. And this issue of calling arrests abduction, of course, there are those who want, for their own reasons, you know, they want to really hype on that. But of course, the police said they were not targeting Macharia Gaidho.
Did you watch the video of how they arrested him? Let us call it the arrest.
Yeah, from where I stand, you know, at times arrests are not, you know, they are not very romantic. They are at least, you know, and at times you feel maybe it could have been done better. But again, if something goes wrong, Jerry, relax. If something goes wrong, Fred, between Anarai is here, my brother, he can.
Yeah, he has had enough instances.
No, I'm not telling him to defend me because he's a lawmaker in the county assembly. He knows this, and he's a very well-versed gentleman with the laws, with our laws. If something goes wrong, because it is even good so that we enlighten our people, don't just come and say here the police have done this or that. We have independent police oversight unit. Okay. So let us have all these cases referred there for positive action, because even, you know, it is just like we have law politicians, we have law police, we have law lawyers, we have law journalists. In every sector, you find one or two.
In your assessment, was the manner in which that arrest was conducted fair? If you watch that video?
I've not watched the video.
Okay. Bonalai, you've had instances where you've engaged
That is
with the
the
police.
video. Thank you for playing it.
Yes, that's the video we're talking about.
Yeah, you know, taken by their son, you know, the unfortunate bit.
Look at how that person is being harassed.
The unfortunate bit there is to see the son filming the dad. You know, kids believe that their parents, they have some trust in their parents, giving them proper, you know, examples. And when they saw that, they wondered, I think the son might have wondered what the dad committed. But from my understanding from the scenario is that the person who was being looked for is Francis Macharia Gaidho. And the person who was being arrested was also Francis Macharia Gaidho. And the unfortunate thing which happens in the police system is sometimes your police officers...
It has been a tough job in recent days.
Your police officers who might not be so conversant with the, you know, the media and understand, you know, the various personalities they are looking for, the differences. So maybe Francis Macharia Gaidho was flagged in
that. Is that an indictment on the police force? A police force that earlier had managed to mysteriously or spectacularly unravel a whole case of serial killing. Then a day later you failed to identify the person you're looking for?
No, you know, understanding, because the person who was arrested later was taken from the Special Crime Prevention Unit, and the Special Crime Prevention Unit officers are very specialized unit mostly drawn from the GSU into the specialized unit. And I think that the arrest of Francis Macharia Gaidho, who is a veteran journalist, while they were looking for blogger Francis Macharia Gaidho, is very telling. I would like to, as a person who has faced the kidnaps, once being kidnapped by more than 5 Subarus, driven fast into where later Mashera Gaido, the other Gaido, Francis Gaido, was taken to. I think I understand what he's going through. It is very traumatizing, that experience. It's the abductions, the arrest, whatever we might call them. I don't think that the media should go through. I know there are a lot of weaknesses, I've called them out, but I don't think that what is happening there will solve anything. Will make the media like you. In any case, it's going to make them, develop a very bad attitude towards the same government you're trying to win them over to. So I don't see any way this is going to be helpful to anybody.
Yes, and the issue of abductions by police has been key, Jerry, throughout these demonstrations.
Yeah.
People have talked about missing persons who are seen being abducted or, as they say, arrested by police, who are yet to be accounted for. Some of them have turned up dead, some of them have turned up injured. We see this continuing. So when they do this and then it's a case of mistaken identity, it leaves a lot to be desired, don't you think?
You see, it's even unfortunate that member for Chinga, even after seeing that video, he does not want to take back his comment about that was not a romantic kind of arrest, because even if it was Francis Gaido or even a worse blogger, why would you dehumanize somebody to that extent? It's right inside the police station. Why are you treating somebody like that? He does not have a gun. He does not have anything that you can say is a reason as to why you want to disarm him. We need to be very honest with this regime. This is brutality. And I really hope that the government is going to bring to us to book these people who are doing this kind of arrest. Again, we have videos of the people who are shooting at some of our people who have died in the streets. Those people have not been brought to book yet. We have video evidences of them on the streets. We have video evidences of even the police car that was seen firing live ammunition to the journalist in Nakuru. Yet nobody has been brought to book until now. No police officer has been arraigned in court for these police brutality kind of things. And we are talking... We've seen one person go missing. I think he's called Cumin. Then we wake up to news he has been found in the morgue, tortured and done all sorts of kind of things. And we want to be silent about this. And people want to, members of county assembly want to still tell us that, no, the police are not police simply because they're in uniform. You need to identify yourself. I'm officer so-and-so. Are you Njeri Kahiga? Yes. Are you the person on this ID? Yes. We want to arrest you. And if I don't agree, then you can say you are trying to bring me into control. But that is harassment. That is harassment. And I want to tell any member of parliament or any member of county assembly who wants to be quiet about this regime. Look at the son to Justin Muturi. He was abducted the other day. And that is a son to, he was currently the son of a very senior person, Attorney General, and they were quiet. Today, it's going to be Njeri Kahiga. Tomorrow, it's going to be you or your wife. And you will not have the media to cover it for you. So we need to call a spade a spade. If the government is wrong, the government is wrong. Those police officers should be taken to Haiti, not dealing with people in such a manner. That journalist is a well-known journalist for years and years and years, honestly. That lady, what happens to her? What happens? Is the government going to compensate them? If it was a case of a politician being mistaken and the same happens to the person, what would have happened? It would be a different case. So we need to be very honest. The media need to be protected. The young people of this nation need to be protected. Abduction or whatever kind of arrest should be done in a humanitarian way. And the police need to remember that as we advocate for changes in this nation, we are also advocating for changes in your police force. We are also advocating that I really would think that members of the county assembly and members of parliament should tell us, do we really need to maybe look at the kind of recruitment that we do to police officers? Because I think some of these things that we do narrow down to the kind of recruitment measures that we take as we recruit them into the police force. Does it narrow down to their training? Does it narrow down to their situations back in the police force? We saw a video clip of one comedian, Crazy Kennard, trying to do comedy with how these police officers are frustrated. You are coming from Andamano, going back to a Mabati house that does not have steamer, does not have water, and you are sleeping, maybe even hungry because you don't even have the time to cook. And these people are frustrated. They don't even have good salaries. So some of these things, we need to look at them
from the source of the problem, because what we see on the street is frustrations, and we should not bring frustrations where lives of people are involved.
Okay, let's take a break now. You're watching Morning Cafe. When we come back, we'll continue with other discussions. Remember, on the front pages of the dailies today, there's a joint editorial condemning acts of violence and harassment against journalists by security agencies.
Kila kiongozi ana hadithi yake ya kipekee.
Wazazi wangu walikuwa bit strict kwa sababu mamangu mwenyewe, mimi kutoka kuzaliwa sijailala nje.
The white small one, huyo ana sniff gunpowder na risasi na bomb. Alafu huyo mwingine ni ridgeback, ana sniff simba.
Even the employees knows that. So when in the boardroom is the chairman, the CEO, and the rest of.
At what point are you a wife?
The minute you get to that inside that door, you become now the wife.
Na kila maamuzi wanayoyafanya hufichua mengi kuhusu utu wao na uongozi wao.
We see God blessing us, and we now realize the power of giving also has to be rewarded back.
Kupitia kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi, tunakuletea mahojiano ya kusisimua na uchambuzi wa kina kuhusu viongozi wetu.
Pick your core business as the bigger stones. Put them in your diary first. Give priority the bigger things.
Usikose kila Alhamis saa 1:30 jioni.
In a world where challenges are as common as opportunities, there are those who dare to defy the odds. They are the entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship isn't just about starting a business, it's about embracing uncertainty, pushing boundaries, and turning dreams into reality.
Hata ambao ni pesa ya kusave, wallahi. Ambao mwaka ni pesa nyingi sana.
As long as you're earning something, there's always that opportunity to save. And you start with where you are.
The way we run the business is in a very unforgiving way, where every team member has to bring out their best.
So, to all the dreamers, innovators, and risk takers out there, remember, being an entrepreneur isn't just a job, it's a way of life. Join the journey. Become an entrepreneur. The Grind, Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Here on Beyond the Limit, we celebrate the extraordinary achievements of individuals who redefine possibilities. In a journey of resilience and determination, these individuals demonstrate that limit.
Welcome back. This is the Morning Cafe on TV47. My name is Fred Ndimuli. I'm still in studio with MCAs Robert Alai and Kiruga Dhuku of Kileleshwa and Shinga wards respectively, and Jerika Higa, National Youth Leader, Political Party, PNU. Just before the break, we addressed the issue of harassment against journalists. Now I want us to move to another story that features prominently on the front pages, and that's what's happening within Azimio. With the prospect of dialogue between the opposition formation and the ruling coalition, this has caused a split within the Azimio coalition, and yesterday we saw something that we have not witnessed in a very long time. It is on the front page of the Standard, a missing opposition. Their space in this crisis or in the discussion going forward, they seem to be lost, trying to clutch at every straw, but are they getting it right? We do have Gwanalai here, and he's a member of the ODM party. You probably understand exactly very well what happened yesterday. There was a PG meeting where a number of decisions were made, and it would appear those decisions were not in tandem with everyone within the coalition. Then we saw the return of should I call them the men in black?
No.
A group of people who just appear to ensure that the meeting comes to an end.
No. You know, our youth, our young people, our Gen Zs also. You know, this is what we have been trying to tell everyone in the country, that when you allow protests everywhere, you know, it is going to happen. Everywhere is going to be occupied. Yesterday, you saw the occupation of JOF, Jaramogi Odinga Foundation, where the meeting was being held. And when the young Gen Zs said that, you know, they are going to support the party leader, Raila Amolo Odinga, and remove everybody else, we said, this is what we've been trying to tell you people, that you support the Gen Zs blindly, now see they are here. And now they are calling themselves, and everybody is calling them men in black. They're not men in black. These are young people, you know, they're probably...
Do you condemn the action yesterday?
No,
that group,
in fact,
you don't?
In fact, I don't think that we need to condemn because, you know, why do we support the Gen Zs nationally and to condemn?
You've been in public condemning the protests within the CBD.
Yeah, no, but I found them convenient. Now they helped me yesterday because we are trying to. We found when we call for the ODM PG, and the whole of Azimio turns up, and they say that it is either their way or the highway. Mheshimiwa Kalonzo Musyoka, Mheshimiwa Eugene Wamalwa, Mheshimiwa Kioni, all of them insisting on, you know, we even wonder how somebody like Kioni can speak for Azimio while 3/4 of his MPs are in government. We even wonder how Kalonzo Musyoka can tell us that, you know, we are not going to sign any agreement with William Ruto, but you must not impeach Gachagua. You know, so we see a situation where we are being led by people who have different interests in the Azimio. So we say that Azimio was supposed to be winning an election. If this is going to be the end of Azimio, so be it. And so, you know...
You're saying that Azimio has outlived its usefulness?
Yes. You know, Azimio, you know, a coalition, that coalition was supposed to be for winning an election. You know, like you saw CORD happened, NASA happened, Azimio happened. I think that... the Azimio also came and is supposed to go after an election. I wonder why it lasted so long, because Kioni doesn't bring anything meaningful to the table. You find Kalonzo Musyoka now is stuck, but he wants his only, you know, his interest to be served by Azimio. We are not interested in serving the interest of Kalonzo Musyoka or Uhuru Kenyatta or Gachagua in Azimio if they want to move out, because you can't be in the opposition while most of your people are in government.
Okay. Njerica Hige, as a member of PNU, your party leader was there on that platform when the goons made their way into that tent. Listening to Bwana Lai say that Azimio has outlived its usefulness. Do you agree with that assertion?
You see, as a member of PNU, which is a party of national unity, I don't want to speak on behalf of my party leader, but I am very sad. It's very sad to hear my member of ODM, who, of course, you know, if you hear Robert talking, even behind the scenes, maybe he's speaking on behalf of Baba, you never know. But let me tell them that it's very unfortunate, because we know very well, I've been to JOF. It's not a place where you can access unless they wanted to access. That place is properly secured. And it's the coincidence for me that it happened immediately that Baba was out, and that is when it took place, and it looks like some drama festivals. But you see, I think this was going to happen in the near future or immediately, because, you know, just like as they say, everybody has a prize. And if Azimio coalition, some of the members have felt they have a prize, we let them go. Some of us will remain to our parties. I'm in PNU. The end of Azimio coalition does not mean PNU is not going to be in existence. We are going to still continue with what our party intends to do. We still have our members on board. We will still have our party leader giving us directions. So if Alai feels like if this is the end of Azimio coalition, then so be it. And I want to...
Do you agree that probably at this point Azimio is no longer useful to the alternative political voice?
You see, on a very honest ground, I need to be very fair enough and say that any coalition that is formed before an election is purposed to take that the country into elections. And
failure to which it should disband.
Azimio took people to elections, and we lost. But I want to be very, I want to be on record on saying that, you know, in as much as I was in Azimio yesterday, gave me the idea of what it would have looked like if we took power, because if you can send goons to your fellow party leaders, it says a lot about how we would have been ruled in this nation. And yesterday I saw everybody on social media saying like, wow, Baba is still the same Baba who in every government he wants to have a handshake. And if they feel they want to do a handshake, I would not tell them not to, but I would tell them one thing. You cannot use the same tricks every other time. And it comes to a point where the nation is aware that, oh, so you wait for Gen Zs to go outside their fight, then you come in and act as if you are the one who needs to be given some positions in cabinet, you need to be given some positions elsewhere. It brings us back to the question of why the Gen Z is very mad about the older generation in politics.
Okay.
Because if you were to ask me, Baba and the team would have gone to a meeting, agree, disagree, yes, but don't bring it in the public.
And we will come back to that issue because I know Bwanalai would want to comment on that. Let's flip the coin and take a look at the perspective from the other side. When you watch what's happening in Azimio from the UDA perspective, as a member of the NEC, clearly President William Ruto has seen the need to reach out to the other side, get some bit of help. This is the same kind of help that you criticized when Raila Odinga had that handshake with Uhuru Kenyatta. Why do you find it so necessary this time around? Is it that bad?
No, Fred, and you know, I think you skipped me and I needed to say, I needed to put it firmly. There is no attack, there is no official sanctions to attack on journalists from the government. We have said that's crossfire, you know, accidental, and we are very sorry for, like our sister who got hurt in Nakuru. Coming to your question, you know, it's also amazing, Fred, that as much as you are my friend, at times you just hammer us for no good reason. Because, yes, because if, you know, we've all been here. Immediately, President William Ruto came to power. He was very categorical. And you can see some of the problems we have been having in the government. It's because the president has insisted, although we are a Kenya Kwanza government, we are a government of all Kenyans. Those who voted for us, those who did not vote for us. We are leading all Kenyans. Then, it's not like we are engaging Baba now. When Baba expressed interest in becoming the AU chair, the president led the government in supporting that bid. And even before that, immediately the president put down the Bible. He declared we were sending as a country, former President Uhuru Kenyatta, to be a peacemaker in the region. Shortly afterwards, when the issue of Baba wanted to become the EU chair came up, the president was very categorical. Baba is going to be supported by this government because he is not representing himself. He has the right credentials to represent
that is well and good. It's the issue,
so what I'm saying
of including Raila Odinga or members of his party in the running of this country. The president was very clear, and as you say, he was categorical that that would never happen.
No, he never said it.
He did.
He never said anywhere it would never happen. What he said was, you know, what he had said is that when we get to power, of course, it was his government, it was a Kenya Kwanza government. But you see, realities come up every other day, right? If, for example, a fire erupts today here, you know you deal with that kind of fire.
Okay.
It may be, if it is a fire from gas, you don't deal.
So you agree
like
circumstances have forced the president to reconsider his
not to reconsider because no, you know, let me tell you something, Fred. This great country is more important than our party. It's more important than any individual. And if you saw or heard what the president said when he was dispensing the cabinet, he said he will form a government that is inclusive of all Kenyans. And With me, I want to thank Baba because at times, you know, we criticize, and also it is good to be objective. We cannot say Ati Baba is just after handshake. No. Right now, the nation is in a crisis. So that, in fact, Baba comes out as a statesman when he says, it's not about me. If the country goes down, everyone becomes a loser. So we will support what is right. If the president, and with me I'm categorical on this, if the president, because it is his prerogative to form the government, if in his wisdom he decides to bring on board Baba's people, so be it.
Okay.
If that is what will bring peace.
If you look at the cartoon on the Daily Nation today, it speaks about the confusion in the communication that Raila Odinga has been giving. It's on page 13. It says that ODM's position on dialogue is confusingly clear because Raila Odinga was there at KICC when he said, he first spoke about the possibility of dialogue, the multi-sectoral forum that was to start on Monday this week. It did not happen. When he went to Kware, he was chanting no dialogue. Then yesterday, things change. It would appear that Raila Odinga is not in control of this conversation, that probably members of his party are the ones pushing it.
I don't think that Raila Odinga makes decisions alone. I think that he has to depend on various, listening to various people in the stakeholders in the party and also in the Azimio coalition to arrive at a decision. So maybe for him, the decision was that we are not going for dialogue. But after having listened to a good number of us, including myself, having talked to him and told him, even given him the history of the recent cooperations with the government, when I hear Njeri telling us that, we should not wait for Gen Zs to go to the street and suffer and, demonstrate and protest and do all those things for us to gain. I like to remind Gen Z that Gen Z Njeri, that what is happening now is, if you compare it to what we have gone through as Azimio and as ODM in this country, then it's a joke. You remember last year we lost 75 of us. We lost a good number of properties, including in the campaign team, including in the convoy of Raila Odinga. We even saw bodyguards arrested, MCAs, MPs kidnapped from their homes and so on. What Gen Zs are going through, because the people who didn't go to vote, the 8 million working class Kenyans who didn't go to vote, felt an urge because they realized they made the biggest mistake of their lives. When we told them that, the election matters and who you choose matters, they didn't take it seriously. So they saw an opportunity to mobilize their kids to go to vote, to protest for them. But remember, in 2013, we had the national dialogue, which was called after the elections then. In 2015, 2016, we had the Okoa Kenya protest and Waiguru must go. In 2017, you also saw the post-election, protest. We have gone through all these things. Sometimes we wonder, when we sit down, we wonder, I've sat down with Azimio leadership and wondered, what if Ruto goes today? What happens? Who takes over? And for how long? What are going to be the structures?
Are you not just riding on a wave that you had very little to do with? Because the Mandamano of last year came to a conclusive end. You went for the NADCO discussion, which the process is still ongoing.
Yes, and people think that we went to...
But now, whatever you're doing now, you did not start it. The agitation that we're currently experiencing is from a different source.
No, what we are doing now, for us, is still part of NADCO. Because remember, 9 bills came from NADCO. Only 1 has been signed. It has not even been implemented. So this is still a process for us, for NADCO. We are not even talking about Gen Zs. The Gen Zs, they have refused. We asked them that, can you go and sit down? Today, if you remove Ruto, we had the Tahrir Square moment in Egypt, and Hosni Mubarak was removed, was deposed. What happened? The opportunities called Muslim Brotherhood came in, who nobody understood them. They saw an opportunity to take over, they took over. Then they started implementing a very strict form of Sharia law, which everybody saw that, because Egypt has grown and become more liberal with the time, with the leader, Hosni Mubarak, then. So when they took over and they didn't know what to do with the presidency, extremists took over and they had to be deposed. The same thing happened in Iran. You remember the Shah Revolution, where what we have now, the Islamic State, is existing because of the chance left by a very liberal, a very democratic system, and then you leave opportunists. If we let Kenya go to the dogs, what you have experienced in the streets, you know, the destruction of institutions, if parliament is burned today, if State House is destroyed today, what will happen? And that's what Raila was asking them. In fact, in the Azimio PG meeting yesterday, the citizens of Raila was that, can somebody tell me here today what is going to happen if Ruto goes? Can you tell me, give me a foolproof plan, then I will adopt it. Tell me, if after you have removed Ruto, what happens? Who are you going to put as the president?
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's listen to Njeri. Njeri, according to ODM, they're simply doing it to protect the state.
You see, I am a first-time voter. I voted for the first time in 2022, and I voted for BAMBA. And
you need to vote for him next time.
Me, I cannot.
No, we are elevating him even. Okay. We are elevating your vote.
Now let me tell you, I voted for BAMBA for the first time. That should tell you that I'm not tribal, because there was somebody Mwaura in the ballot. I would have voted for them if I was tribal. But I saw politics from a very different dimension, and I wanted to give this man who has fought for this nation for a long time a chance. But then again, in between the Azimio party and the campaigns, a lot happened, and maybe we missed a point somewhere or two, and maybe that is where we lost it. And sometimes it narrows down to how things are done in Azimio, because I can tell you for a fact, I would not be ashamed to tell you that if Azimio had not done some things in leadership, today we would be in government. I'm not ashamed to say that this is where we always lose the ball, because we look at what is on the table right now. We don't look at the accountability that Kenyans want. Right now, our member for Kileleshwa is telling us that, you know, Azimio, ODM, has fought for this country for a long time. We've suffered, we've been arrested, had some people lose their lives. So you are taking this opportunity as a rewarding scheme, simply because on other years you've been suffering. You want to take this opportunity that the Gen Zs have brought boldly out as a rewarding scheme for some few people. Then you want to tell us that now that some few people from opposition will be rewarded with positions, and now the government will be stable, we let them eat, then we Gen Zs can wait for another time, we fight again, until when we can fight until our rewarding scheme chance comes. We were not going to the streets looking for rewarding schemes. In fact, the young generation was not going to the streets to look for positions for some few people to join government. We cannot be removing some few hyenas on the table and adding more. We have to be very honest, because at the end of the day, even if the president does not bring in opposition, and opposition retains its mandate to counter-check this government every day, to put them onto the stand and tell them you need to address these things that the young people are talking about, the nation will still move forward. Why are they taking the opportunity of, oh, you know, we want to have negotiations with government because we don't want the country to go to the dogs. So when Ruto goes, then what happens? No. That is not the direction to take if you are honestly there for the goodwill of Kenyans. Kenyans want opposition to be opposition. Let Baba stick to opposition. Let him be very clear that he wants, because when they all go to government, then who is left out there to counter-checking the government? Me, I'm in PNU. If my party leader today tells me, Njeri, I've decided that we as PNU, we need to go to handshake, I would have to air my reservations with him and tell him, Bwana Munya, I feel we need to put this government in check, because if we all go into government, what is going to be left?
Okay.
Because government, we can't all fit in.
And
maybe
it's the same thing that the president has been saying, that the opposition needs to play their role in the opposition. Hence his push for an office of official leader of opposition. Yes. But it would appear that all this is changing now.
It is not. It's in an article report, and you know, our younger sister here, she might be a bit young to understand these things, but I admire her. I admire the way she does. You know, with time. So fast, yeah. You know, with time.
But isn't that patronizing?
No, it is not.
Isn't it the same problem?
No, it's quite amazing.
Isn't it the same problem that you're having between the political class and the young generation that is out there?
No. You see, let me tell you. You know, my dear younger sister here, Jerry. You know, my brother, I calls her Gen Z Jerry. They've been saying, I don't know, they are faceless. leaderless, I don't know what other less, but I told you here, this panel, I told you sometime back here, nature abhors vacuum. And you cannot assume facelessness and survive for long. Now, the police have demanded, in fact, the police have said, we shall not have any more protests from a group saying they have no leader and such. We have to know, you have now to come and bring your leaders. So that, because you know, in every, no, listen.
But is it a requirement to
yes,
have a
it
leader
is,
for
because,
protest?
listen.
In the Constitution?
In the Constitution, you know, everyone,
You don't need, no.
Listen to me. Listen, it is even common sense. Because, listen, friend, it's a matter of common sense. If today you want to go for a demonstration, it is legally, you know, legally, you should say it is I, Keroga Duku, together with Robert Arai and Jerry, we are leading the demonstration. Because someone have to be held accountable. For example, if people's, listen,
just to read the Article 37.
If people's property, I'll quote it to you, I'll quote it to you here before we relax. I'll quote it here before we leave. I'll read it.
You know, quoting and
I'll read. No, I will read it.
Allow me to just read Constitution, Article 37.
Yes.
Every person has a right, peaceably and unarmed, to assemble, to demonstrate, to picket, and to present petitions to public authorities. It does not quote
peaceably and
it does not have any requirement for a leader.
But you see, and you can ask Robert, my brother Robert here. When you want to have a demonstration, you write to the, it is law.
No.
Do you know you have to notify the police? You must notify.
You
if
don't
you
notify
want
them, you inform them.
Exactly.
Just alert them to give you security.
Exactly. So that is that's what I'm saying. I'm telling you, it's a matter of common sense. Who is the notifier?
We can't deal with common sense.
You see, you notify. There is someone who notifies the police, so that on behalf of the planners, if people's property, even you have led yourself there, peaceably assemble unarmed. Is that what you have been seeing? We've been seeing people throwing stones. We've been seeing people lighting bonfires. We've been seeing people destroying people's property, looting people's property. So, going forward, it has to be, and I want to encourage the police on this from where I'm seated here. If you want to demonstrate, it is I, Kiruga Duku, calling for this demonstration.
No.
It's I, Robert Alai, notifying you, because so that the police are able to give Kiruga Dukus, to give Jerry's, to give Alai's or Fred's group.
No.
The necessarily, because in fact that is why we are even.
We're digressing. The Constitution is. I've just read the provision of the Constitution, Article 37, and I think that.
And you have said unarmed people, you know, any group.
There is no law that says we should identify
ourselves. Back to the question, and I think you had talked about a leadership vacuum.
Yes.
Back to the issue of ODM.
Yes. Now, you know what I want to say and what I want to reiterate is that if our brothers and sisters in the ODM, right, they deem it fine to fit to join us. You know, it's not the first time we are joining. Even during Mzee Kibaki's time, we used to campaign all over with even Baba. We would go to Mombasa, we would talk there with Baba, we would talk with the other members, then we came back. We quarreled so much, even this Arai. I told you, even Arai broke me. Now we are back together. So, what all this is pointing to is that this nation is greater than all of us. That is why, in fact, I have one favorite author called Emal Kopmeyer. Emal Kopmeyer writes in his book, Thoughts to Build On, that people with diverse ideologies, right, can come together while even very much opposed to each other. Even the president, you know, he was using the example of the president of the United States of America, who's saying that even the president of the United States of America can come, sit together with the opponents, negotiations might be hard. People might have very different and diverse ideologies, but at the end of it all, for the sake of humanity, for the sake of survival of the nation, they end up greeting with a handshake, so that the country moves forward. And that is why that's why I like my brother Alai, because Alai have great nationalism inside him. He knows.
There are serious concerns about that route, and the next question is about: are we not trying to prescribe old remedies? And we've discussed that here before, to new problems. That this issue of dialogue is not the first time we're hearing dialogue, and it's always Raila Odinga calling for dialogue. And we've seen that over the years. Yes, the formation of government of national unity. This time, the agitation is about accountability. If we go back to that, because what in essence we're saying is that ODM is seeking to insulate the president and his ruling coalition from the accountability that's being demanded for by those in the streets.
No. ODM is not trying to insulate anybody. ODM is trying to insulate Kenya from the anarchy and chaos which is going to happen. But I would like to also to remind us that, you know, when you are going to protest, you need to pay attention to Section 5 of the Public Order Act, the Amendment Act of 2019, which says that any person intending to convene a public meeting or procession shall notify the regulating officer of intent at least 3 days, but not more than 14 days before the proposed date of the public meeting. So it is in the law for us to notify the police. You need to carry yourself out in a manner which is not going to breach peace. You're not going to destroy properties.
Where you've read, is there a requirement for a leader?
For
a leader.
You know, this is what people, Kenya is a country of laws, rules, and regulations. When you try to have an amorphous body and hydra, headless, tailless, faceless, you cannot even understand it starts where and ends where. This is where we get to anarchy, because when I come to your studio here, I have to recognize you as the host. When I come, sometimes you hear we differ with the Kiruga Thuku, because he tries to even shut down the host. And I say that now there is no order here. Can we please have some structure? This is how our country should be led. We must have order, the head and the tail, who is the boss and who is not the boss, who tells me to please slow down, shut down, and I shut down. That's how normal societies are led. But when you have young people are saying that, and you have Gen Z, Njeri here saying that, you are elected to be opposition. Nobody gets elected to be an opposition. How we all want to be leading this country. We just happen that we didn't make it as the number one, as in politics. And nobody says that, in fact, minority and majority. There's no opposition in this structure we have now. So I would like to encourage wakina Njeri to realize that opposition, si hata munya ni binadamu. Ajaribu hapo aone. We have now left it vacant. In fact, it's now more valuable to be opposition leader, because Raila, who you say is dominating the opposition for so long, has left it for you now. Can you please?
He has joined government.
No, he has not. He has not joined any party. He has just left opposition for you, because what is happening now is also because of Raila said, "I'm going to take a back seat." You have said, when Raila was doing these maandamanos last year, he was leading us into the maandamanos. I think you need to remember there's one headline that, can we call for all sanity? Everybody was demanding in the media that sanity must be
prevail.
Yes, must prevail. What is this chaos we are seeing? But now when the country is burning, we are facing I think a month or so of protest. Nobody seems to be interested in sanity. We say, why is this change? Yeah, we want all to be consistent. Let the politicians be consistent. Let the media be consistent.
Are the politicians being consistent? That's a question.
We are very consistent. You see, we did a dialogue in 2013. We are going to do it now. We're very consistent.
Last week there was no dialogue when Raila showed up in Kware. Now this week is saying, okay.
No, like I said, Raila is very consultative. Raila would listen to Fred and say that, oh, Fred, Baba, unajua hii kitu unajaribu kusema kwamba kuna dialogue, it has to happen. And that's what he did. He basically listened to some of us.
Njeri, from where you sit, do you agree with what the political class are trying to cook? They've tried this before. Do you agree with that? And if not, what is the alternative? Because questions have been raised and many people have asked, the movement has achieved so much, but for how long? And what is the logical conclusion of this?
You see, as I sit here, I am part of PNU, and in as much as we want to be very politically exposed, we need to be looking at things from a Wanjiku perspective. Now imagine we are talking of a scenario where we've had maandamano for the last 1 month. Then some people from Azimio come out and say, you know what, we need to sit down with government and you know, to bring sanity in this nation. They forget, once you go to government, Wanjiku huko nyumbani is really hoping that nobody in opposition joins government, because you are joining the oppressing side, and when you are there, you'll not be able, you'll be masked down, you'll not be able to be voicing out things as you should, because once you lose in an election, Baba has always said that, you know, we need to put this government into accountability. And we don't need Baba to be there for us to have opposition. But again, we don't need him to go to government and tell us that, you know, now what? The whole of Azimio should be joining government. And I think it's time that political classes understand that this nation is not about 20 individuals. This nation is about all Kenyans. We cannot all join government. Me personally, if you ask me, if Baba had not brought out these chaos in Azimio this openly, because at one point when Gen Z's walimsalimia, he said, "Oh, I was not planning to go into handshake." Now again, we are having Mheshimiwa for Kileleshwa telling us that, you know, it's time we bring sanity into this nation. We don't have a problem with bringing sanity, but you cannot tell us bringing sanity means us going to government, because at the end of the day, what are we going to be doing? We are going to be watering down the powerful voice of the people who are not in government. Who is going to be checking government? Who is going to be raising issue the way Wanjiku wants it to be raised? I've had member for Chinga say that, you know, even members of parliament who are back in Gen Z, like Wathoni Moshomba, have said that now, hold on, nobody is interested in anarchy, but we are requesting, can Baba and the team remain in opposition? And if they feel they are not fit for opposition, let them just quit politics. But you cannot again water down our efforts and go join government and add to the oppressors' team and let Kenyans go into the streets again. Because what is going to happen if Kenyans decide, oh, Mumenda Azimio, all of you, Mumenda to the government side, now let Kenyans fight for themselves. What is going to happen? We are going to burn down this nation, because you are adding more fuel. You are adding more fuel to the fire. Kenyans are simply saying we want accountability. We don't want you to join government and add us the budget, because opposition joining government means more positions. Opposition joining government means a bigger wage bill. Opposition joining government means the government having to look for funds somewhere to liquidate them for them to maintain their side. And I want to be very clear with any Kenyan who is watching me right now. The moment you see two enemies who for a long time have been at loggerheads coming together, you as the Kenyan, you should know wewe ndio uko kwa shida.
Okay.
Because they are going to join forces, they are going to eat together, and then you as the Kenyan is going to be out for 3 years. Okay. And when it comes to 2027, I really ask Kenyans, if Azimio goes to government, anybody who is in opposition that goes to government, come 2027, deal with them like Kenya Kwanza members.
But you still don't answer my question, because questions are being asked about the movement as it is right now. Without the political class getting involved, the agitation on the streets has gotten to a point where it has been successful to some extent.
Yes.
But what next? Is there a logical conclusion to this agitation? The
conclusion is simply, by now the president has ticked 3 boxes, the IEBC thing, the cabinet thing, and also they reject the finance bill. So now we are moving towards him now bringing in competent cabinet secretaries, and we are hoping that he's not going to do a political rewarding scheme again. He's going to bring in competence. Then we can move this nation forward and go back to a country where people are held accountable. Let us see now, as we conclude with new members of CSS coming in, let us now see the country telling us we had allocated this money for these and these expenses, but we've decided to narrow down, because I saw a discussion on Twitter the other day. If a teacher can survive with 30, 50, less than 100,000, why should you tell me that the political class MPs
So the protest will continue until all the
No, I'm not saying the protest will continue. I'm simply saying we've achieved up to number 3. Now, the young people now, apart from these killings from Kware that have really brought again another agitation, I think Maandamano has achieved its time. And I think if the Gen Z would be kind enough to at least be patriotic enough and understand that we don't need to no longer go to the streets and demand for the things we were demanding for, because they've already been done partly. We can only go to the streets if Kenyans are being killed. Now that one, you cannot tell Kenyans not to go on the streets, because if we keep on finding more bodies, you are fueling our fire, because if you cannot address Kenyans' issues when they ask, where are we finding bodies? Why is the place being burnt down?
Fred, you know, with me, I want to dedicate my time to first going back to the law. At what do organizers need to do to organize public meetings and processions? Because I don't want to appear like I'm bringing my own quotes here. Because this is covered under freedom of assembly, procession and demonstration, public order ordinance cap 245. And I want, you just allow me, you just hear for yourselves. Assuming the public meeting or procession is one that requires prior notification to the Commissioner of Police, before the proposed meeting or procession, the organizers must inform the police of the intention to hold the same 1 week in advance. The police may inquire in writing or by way of meetings with the organizers details of the proposed public meetings or procession. Let me skip there and conclude like this. The organizers should mobilize a team of marshals sufficient to maintain public order and safety during the public meeting and procession. First aid stations may also need to be set up in the meeting location and along the procession route. The organizers shall nominate to the police a contact person who must be present throughout the procession. So that's the law.
What are you referencing from?
I'm referencing cap 256.
That's the Katiba itself.
Yes, the Katiba. I'm quoting from the Constitution itself. So, friend, no, you know.
Unless Fred verifies, because
he can't
verify.
You will, because that is it. That is the law.
No, you can Google something.
I know. So, friend, what we are saying is, and we will keep insisting on this, we are at a juncture. You know, some people are really careless, they don't care, they get donor money. If things go wrong here, they can just fly out at with the next flight. What we are saying, and as my brother Robert here was saying, we've seen very bad things happen where these so-called revolutions have taken place, and the people who suffer most are innocent women, innocent children. And when Baba says, no, if it takes talking to avert going that route, that's the most mature way of doing things. So people might differ politically. And you keep insisting, Fred, I don't know, Baba went where, he said what. Politics is a dynamics game. You know, at one time, Baba also...
You do accept that even the president has been forced to change his initial mode of operation?
Politics is like a game. If you see you are attacking a team and they are very tough at their back there, you are playing a soccer game, you retreat and you apply another tactic.
The question now is, because the Gen Zs, if I may call them that, they are demanding for accountability. But what we are seeing is that politicians, and the president has conceded to some of the demands up until now by dissolving the cabinet, by rejecting the finance bill. But we are seeing that he is now looking to the politicians for some form of insulation from accountability. Don't you think that is a wrong way to go about it?
No. He is not. The president don't want to be insulated from anything. And Fred, you see, you know, with me, I've been to meetings that the president have been chairing, party meetings, and other forums of meeting. And the president have really insisted, we have to be accountable in what we are doing for Kenyans. We have to be genuine in changing the plight of Kenyans. The president doesn't need to be insulated from anything.
What is the necessity of having ODM or other political formations come to join government?
No, but you see...
He has already been conceding directly to the Gen Zs and even engaging them on X.
Yes, because this is a listening precedent. What is happening, and I'm telling you, In fact, look at me, I'm taking you back, like the moment the president put that Bible down after being sworn as a president. You know, he could have chosen to go after his predecessor, but there, despite all the things, despite all the slights, despite all the bad things that had been being done to him by the former regime, there he said, we are, as a country and as the president, I'm giving the former president who has just handed over, we are presenting him as the key mediator in this region, peace mediator. Immediately after, BAMBA expressed his intention of going for the AU share. In fact, the president is somehow sowing from the good seeds he have planted. Now that's what you are calling, trying to get insulated by politicians. Because the president, even in fact, the foreign affairs minister, Musalia Mudavadi, the prime cabinet CS, he's been leading a shadow diplomacy.
He's now the CS in charge of all.
Yes, and you know there is another lesson from the CS Musalia's, rise. You know, CS Musalia, he's among the very few politicians, maybe I myself included, who will not hear uttering, insults all over, because I never also, I think I'm more like Honorable Musalia. You see, Honorable Musalia is one man, he was one time with BAMBA. Then they separated ways. You never had him insulting. Now, when it comes for chance, BAMBA wants to become AU chair. Honorable Musalia was there, supporting. Honorable Musalia is there, the quiet diplomat, just like Mzee Kibaki, supporting the government, supporting the president. And you see, Honorable Musalia offers us valuable lessons. You don't have to be abrasive, you see, to take us in government.
Okay. Wanalai, the narrative about going to Canaan, allow me to use it. I look at the Bible, because they say in Deuteronomy 32:52, therefore you will see the land only from a distance. You will not enter the land I'm giving to the people of Israel. It would appear that the political class, and especially within ODM, they feel that they've done a lot in this journey to Canaan.
Yeah.
And they see the possibility that the Gen Zs have come with a new way of doing it, and they are just about to take over. And the political class, and especially within ODM, is feeling, we will not get to Canaan despite the work we've done. Hence, the quick excitement about joining government right now. Do you agree that it is born, all this change of tack and agreeing to dialogue is born out of fear that your time is up?
No, I don't think that we fear that anybody's time is up. In fact, if you see from the nominations in the MCAs and the MPs and the Senate, I think there's no party with the highest number of young elected and nominated people like the ODM. And you also need to appreciate that, from historically, since 1997, when BAMBA worked with President Moi for a period in 1998, we saw the biggest leap in the economy of Kenya. Grew. We came from a growth in 1997 of 0.47 from the IMF and the World Bank statistics, 0.47% to 3.29 after the cooperation agreement. In 2002, when Raila and Kibaki came into government through the NAC, National Rainbow Coalition, you saw the biggest growth in economy from 0.55 in 2002 to in 2003 we had 2.93, then we grew to 5.10, and then in 2009, you remember that after that there was a big difference in the Rainbow Coalition that forced, we had the post-election violence in 2007, 2008. In 2009, after Raila, had the Grand Coalition government with the Mheshimiwa Mwai Kibaki, the economy grew again from 0.23 in the previous year to 3.31, then 8%, the highest growth we have ever experienced. When this Kenya Kwanza now and Jubilee, then part of Jubilee, were in power from 2012 to 2013 to 2017, we were basically struggling between 3% and 4%. Then Raila collaborated with Uhuru again, and it moved from 3.84 to 5.6.
So Raila is responsible for all the economy.
2 the highest, we almost exist, we almost saw the biggest economic growth in the country in 2021 when we had 7.59. So Raila is a key influence in the positivity in the country. And when people, sometimes people take chance to join the government as a trying to loot, trying to steal. Why is it that none of the people in Raila's camp, being in government in 1997, after 2002, the Grand Coalition government, having a handshake with Uhuru Kenyatta, none of them is being, accused of doing something, similar to what you're seeing the Kenya Kwanza and Uhuru government individuals being accused of. Because we have been selfless. And people are so selfish that when you are given even a chief's job, people see it as an opportunity to steal. So we have to stop the idea that when you go to government, you are going there to loot, to eat, to fill your stomach. You are going to change the country. You are going to look for stability. You are going to look for a better economy. We must ensure that the young people, their demands, in fact, I think that is only Raila who is going with the aspirations of the young people and telling them that, in fact, he wanted them to be part of the team going to, but it's just that whenever you try to engage them, you've been told that we are not interested, we are partyless, we are shameless, we are... Some of them are even removing panties in public. They're saying now they are pantyless.
When you watch politicians coalesce, you can tell that they are threatened by this movement.
Yeah.
Did you anticipate that from where you sit? And I'm asking you that as a young Kenyan. Did you anticipate that the political class would be the ones opposing the movement?
You see, I really admire Robert Alai because, we only read when he writes very controversial posts. But now listening to him live on air do it comes out very differently. And I must admit it's amazing. So, you see, the young people, one thing is for sure that both sides, opposition and those in Kenya Kwanza government, feel like the spark that has been ignited across the country might take them home come 2027. Mm-hmm. Because Kenyans are tired of the same people playing a game of you win, you lose, then we can sit down, we can take people to the streets for demonstrations and tell them it's about unga kushuka. Then once it's at the table, we are now discussing about who to take what. And in the Standard newspaper today, I can see somewhere where page 5, where it says, opposition is missing the mark as Ruto struggles, analysts now say. So the analysts are arguing that Kenya opposition should lead Gen Z to build a framework that will help address governance issues. I would have expected the opposition, once they heard that we are partyless, we are leaderless, we faceless and all that, I would have expected BAMBA to understand why we are doing this. First, because we are, of course, by the fact that abductions have become a norm of the day, we don't want to put somebody in the limelight of they are the leader, then we find them missing, because even those, you have realized it's a trend that anybody who was seen on those videos on TikTok that they had occupied parliament, in one way or another, they have been found dead or abducted. And that is the reason as to why you understand that Gen Zs have maintained that we are leaderless, because we fear for our lives and we don't want somebody being victimized as the person who is leading people to go to demonstrations. I would have expected BAMBA, before he sits down with government, he sits with the young people. If today BAMBA was to convene a meeting, you can be very sure that the young people would want to understand how can they framework and have structures within these demonstrations and this agitation, and push them forward into petitions, into tabling them into the county assemblies, into tabling them to the parliament and all those kind of things. But they have not tried that route. Reason being, they don't want to strengthen the structures of the young people, because they understand when we will be kicking out this regime, for instance, me in my county, when I will be kicking out the governor, I will also be kicking out the member of parliament, member of county assembly, and one way or another might be an ODM person, might be a Kenya
And that's
Kwanza
the fear,
person.
right?
And they have that fear that this cane
They
is
will
going
jointly
to
go.
cane us all, and it's going to be a fire that burns us all, because Kenyans have realized it's the same people for over 10, 20 years in government. And I can see member for Chinga, wait, you know, protect me, the host. Member for Chinga wants to harass.
Because our time is almost up, and I want everyone to have a final comment.
Let me finish up by saying that we understand that the political side of opposition is also feeling threatened. But I also want to tell them boldly, as Njeri Kahiga, that if you dare join government, we will treat you as one people, one party, tutawapeleka nyumbani. Nyinyi wote, 2027, we will use the hashtag Fagia wote nyumbani. We bring in new blood. We bring in people who have not had traces of anything to do with corruption. We bring in people of proper intellectual and soberness who will not tell us that it's our time now, we've fought for long. So if they want to go to opposition, they want to go to government, it's a choice they have to make, but they have to remember it's 2 years to elections.
You know, Fred,
final comment.
You know, at times listening to my dear younger sister here, you get an impression of a youngster trying to advise the parents on how children are sired. You know, imagine Jerry here advising Baba. I don't know where to go. I don't know what not to do politically. Well, Jerry tutamlea tu. Fred, I want to quote the IG of police, the acting IG of police, Mr. Douglas Kaja. This is what he says. The lack of designated leadership in previous demonstrations have made it difficult to enforce safety protocols. As a result, no demonstrations will be permitted in the Nairobi Central Business District and its surroundings until further notice to ensure public safety. So, the era of faceless, leaderless, radarless is over. You know, by saying so, the likes of Boniface Mwangi and others and co, they have hijacked the whole process. Their intention is to overthrow the government. It cannot be allowed. They have led to untold destruction of people's property. We also demand from our police that must be brought to an end. Okay. And I want to say this. I want to tell my younger sister here and others.
You know, 30 seconds.
Yes, sir. You know, you cannot force leadership on people. Nelson Mandela, the great South African president and a freedom activist, once said, people got to like you, the people have got to like your policies. When people don't fear you, they make you their leader. I come from a constituency where we give Mzee Mwai Kibaki, may God continue resting his soul in peace, 40 years of leadership. People have to trust you. People have to identify with you. That's why, look at the growth of President William Ruto. Okay. He has come right from a member of parliament, all the way to a minister. Mm-hmm. Now he's the president. Okay. Our young people should be mentored and should know you rise slowly. People identify with your policies, and they will make you a leader.
Okay. Thank you. Finally, Banalai.
Asante sana. You know, I would like to appreciate the young people who have gone to the streets, but they also need to understand that Ruto must go. It should not be an end to itself. We must understand that, you know, when you are trying to remove the president, the sitting president of the country, a lot of things can happen. You can decide to leave the power today, but who is going to assume the power?
Yes.
Then he can decide to, when you push him to the wall, to protect himself, to survival instinct. You know, the country is going to be lawless. You're going to see a lot of militias emerging from all parts of the country. The Ruto must go chance must not be an end in itself. And we must realize that we have a country to protect, we have a country to stabilize, we have young people to empower, to build, and to ensure that they thrive also in the economy. And also, you know, when people don't want to be told and be advised and, you know, be nurtured into being better people. And I think that, you know, for the fact that at least now we have phones and smartphones and tablets and computers, then we know it all, and we can research and we can use AI. We can drive protest, and we can use the hackers and ensure that we bring down regimes. Then we know it all. We need to understand that, you know, technology is very good, but it also can be used negatively to destabilize regimes and to promote anarchy. So let's go for a stable Kenya. Let's go for Kenya which works for all of us, and it's not my way or the highway. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Robert Alai, MCA Kileleshwa Ward, Njeri Kahiga, National Youth Leader, Political Party, PNU, and Kiruga Dhuku, MCA Shinga Ward in Othaya, that's in Nyeri County, also a member of NEC, UDA, and a chairperson of the UDA MCA's caucus. Thank you so much for your time here at TV47. That has been State of the Nation. Just taking a look at what big headlines we have today and what to expect going forward. A lot more coming up after the break with Stanley Nyaringita. Do stand by.